Okay, maybe we can start. So
Okay.
hi everybody and welcome to the December special of the Mathematical Cognition Learning Society. I am Maristella and I am the Policy and Practice Chair of the MCLS Trainee Board. And today's special is about science communication, a skill that is often overlooked, I think, although it is getting more and more important. We, as researchers, were asked to share our expertise with the general public. It's also part of the so-called third mission of the universities. So it is good to have such a skill on our CV. But how do we tell our research effectively and how can we make our story engaging? So, to answer these questions, today we have two experts, Elvira Antonucci and Marta Fornasier from the SISSA Medialab in Trieste, Italy. So, yeah, that's it. Elvira, Marta, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you. So thank you, Maristella, first of all, for asking us to do this session. We are very happy to be here.
And thank you
And
all for being
exactly.
here today.
Um, so yeah, the title of this presentation is How to Talk Science to Your Grandma, Practical Introduction to Science Communication. So we will try to answer this question and give an introduction to science communication that is quite practical, especially in the last part of this presentation. We will try to give some tips and examples of what we do. But first of all, I would like to start saying a bit of things about us. So, just to present myself, I'm Marta and I studied mathematics in Trento, in Italy. And in the master degree, I specialized in cryptography. And then I did a couple of years working in very technical stuff, but then I decided to move on a different path because I was very passionate about science communication. So I did the master in science communication in SISSA, that is the Scuola Internazionale Superiore di Avanzati, is a school of advanced studies in Trieste, where people can do PhD or research. And SISSA also offer this master that is in science communication that is quite important, let's say, from the historical point of view, because it's the first one that was created in Italy. And also Elvira did, so I anticipate also a bit of her background. And then after this master, we started to work here in SISSA Medialab, but we present later. So
Yeah,
I leave the word to
I am
Elvira.
Elvira Antonucci. I am a marine biologist by background. After the master's degree, I had one crisis here, as a
Of
lot of
course,
people
of course, there is the moment of.
do. I started a YouTube channel where I talk about marine biology, and I discovered that actually I like communicating science more than doing it. And so I decided to pursue this path with this master in science communication with Marta, and now we work here at SISSA Medialab.
Exactly. And yes, so a little bit of what is SISSA Medialab. SISSA Medialab is an in-house company of SISSA. And in SISSA Medialab, there is a group that manages six scientific journals. And that is one of the main, let's say, purposes of SISSA Medialab. And there is another group that does science communication, and where we are among the projects of science communication group. There are European project courses, and etc., and project with schools. That are the one in which me and Elvira focuses more. The main project with schools that we do is SISSA for Schools. SISSA that Maristella knows very well because she participated. SISSA for Schools is the Children University of SISSA. So every Thursday morning during the year, we welcome a school class from the elementary school to the middle or the high school. And we give a morning of a full immersion in the world of science and research. The core of the program SISSA for Schools are the researchers of SISSA that volunteer to talk about their research to kids or high school students. And we do a lot of preparation with them, with the trainings and other kind of activities to help them to communicate their actual research that they do. Of course, anytime you can stop me and add with okay. Then other things that we do are bigger events, and one example is the Student Day. So in this day, we welcome like 500 students, more or less, in SISSA for an orientation day. We have a lot of activities done in parallel, and people can choose and move. There are talks, but also discussion games, interviews, and other nice stuff.
It's a single morning where we concentrate everything like
Exactly.
40, 50 activities in parallel, and are the students that decide where to go in. It's very cool.
Exactly. And then there is, for example, an orientation program focused on artificial intelligence and data science that in this case is done for single school classes of high school students. So it's very specific as is in the, let's say, for orientation purposes for their future. And then other examples, we do training courses like to researchers about science communication, of course, with other colleagues. And or for example, training courses to teachers at schools. We did a lot last year in, let's say, various topics. So I don't go too much in depth on this. But what I want to say about the projects, that we do other things depending on the period and what arises. But the important point for us is that we love to have an informal learning, hands-on and participatory approach. So very, let's say, creative and interactive. So for this reason, before asking you this question, we would like to interact a bit with you. And so let me share this. And I ask you if you can see and if you see the QR code, right? Okay. So this is a way, I don't know if you already use this, quite famous, I think, is a way of asking people questions and displaying the answers in real time. So just to break a little bit the ice, I ask you, how do you feel right now? Okay, thank you. Sleepy, someone is sleepy.
The timing is not helping us.
I will also answer.
Okay.
And I wait a second just to let more answers appear. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Very nice. Many people are curious, happy, and calm because these are bigger. So more people replied in the same way.
Yeah, but there's also some sleepy.
Some sleepy.
We will try to take this into account.
Exactly. Of course, seeing this, of course, you can stop us whenever you want. So if you have questions, and in this kind of our vision to having participation and interaction, please just stop. I know that it's not easy to be much interactive and participate in a Zoom call, but we try. So yeah, let's go. And now another question for you. I'm sorry, if I manage to do. Sorry. Okay. No. Okay. Oh. Okay. This is a more interesting question for us. So, why would you want to communicate science? If you're interested in this, or maybe you are not, but imagine if you had to do it,
We
why?
assumed that since you are here today,
Exactly.
somehow you are interested in this.
And you can give longer answer here. Okay, interesting. Make an impact. Thank you. I want to describe important findings that shape practice. So this is related to something we will talk about. The findings that shape practice, to able to help others with what we have learned, make people aware of what is going on in my field, share knowledge, because I think that is the only way to reach the rest of population and give sense about what we do. Thank you, very interesting. Okay, I move this, share my findings. Okay, interesting. Okay, thank you very much for sharing. Yeah, really, really interesting. Okay, so I go on with the presentation. Okay, you can see it. I should do the this. Okay, perfect. So, what is science communication? I imagine that many of you have a background in mathematics, so maybe you didn't like that we talked about science communication without defining it, but it's not that easy. So one thing that we can mention, even if it seems obvious, but it's not that obvious, to talk about what is the science communication, is that science communication is more or less everywhere. So there are people that work in science communication in museums, press offices, writing articles for newspapers, doing radio programs, podcasts, working on social media, in books, films, games, board games. We love board games. Events, festival, and more. So is an ecosystem of staff that interact with each other, and there are many people that do different kind of jobs, but all this is in the field of science communication. But how they do this? So for a long time, the vision of how to do science communication was like this. So there is an expert that knows stuff, and there is a general public, everybody else, that doesn't know much about this stuff, and the expert just gives knowledge and transmit stuff to this general public. And this was called deficit model. But the point of this model is that is too much limited. So of course, sharing knowledge is an important part of science communication, but it is not the only goal of science communication. And also, one problem of this model is that there is the idea that if people start to know more about science, they will agree with science. But this is not true. It's not true that the more people know, the more they agree with science. And so, yeah, science communication is not just about sharing knowledge, but the new, let's say, vision of science communication that we use nowadays is the dialogue model. So the idea is that the public can participate, has knowledge, and has many, let's say, values, ideas, and
we can see it as a network of shared knowledge. It's not
exactly.
anymore a clear path from the expert on top and the person that does not know anything at all.
Exactly. So not the only goal is to share knowledge, but also to, for example, make sense of, create a sense of in the world that we are living, raise curiosity, awareness, encourage action, and in general, engage the public and build a relationship with them. So this is the idea. So, back to the initial question, how to talk science to your grandma? Not by assuming that your grandma knows nothing about science. So the idea that okay, I have to educate my grandma in science because it is not a good approach.
It's a quite patronizing approach.
Exactly. So in this view, an important thing for us is, for science communicator, is that people are not empty boxes to fill with science stuff, but people have a prior knowledge, so given from their experience in life, and this can be, let's say, can have an intersection with what we want to have to share, can be different. And there is another point important that one level is about the knowledge that people have, another level is about the emotions, the values, the culture, the beliefs, the political ideas, the religion, and all these things, let's say, rework what we tell to people in their way of hearing it, I would say. So this is an important thing to take to have in mind. So just last word about this. A conclusion of our introduction to science communication, then we pass through the practical tips, is that people are not all the same. So when you prepare something to communicate to a public, you have to think about who you are talking to. So they are children, what they know, they are adults, they are experts in other fields maybe, or they are living in a particular context, social context, so they have a background in something. It is always good to think about who you are talking to. And so, yeah, that's it more or less about our introduction. I leave the word to Elvira that gives you some practical tips.
After this very important introduction, so we can start from this shared idea about how it's viewed nowadays science communication. Let's do it in practice. How should you do it? So we start with the tips. First of all, choose one key message and build from that. It can seem obvious, but your science communication encounter, whether it's like 10 minutes or an hour, is not a lecture. So you cannot expect to transfer all your knowledge in one encounter with the people, and it's not your goal, as we said. So this is not to say that you should avoid anything complicated, but you have to choose carefully what to focus on. So one key message, because taking too many tangents can confuse your audience and make it mentally exhausting to follow you. It should be a clear path in your talk that lead in the end to this key message. Then, careful with the jargon, your technical term, your definition. Technical words are not like devil incarnate. You can use them, but sometimes can be useful, even sometimes, some other time they are not really necessary. there is no reason for me to talk about epistasis. I hope I pronounce it well. When you can say nosebleed, there are synonyms. They are okay. If you can choose the simple word, but how we can decide whether to choose to use jargon or not? One question that you should ask yourself: is knowing this exact word useful to convey my message? If yes, go for it, great, use it, but explain it carefully, especially the first time that you use it. If not, cut with no mercy. No one will regret it. I remember with one of our activities that I developed with two mathematicians, that I did this huge combat argument with them because they want to use the term perimeter to define the shape, and I want to use edge. And I understand that for a mathematician this could be a blasphemy, but they were like 7 years old. They had no capability of understanding the nuance of this concept. So edge is totally fine. Another tip can be keep the text on the slide consistent with what you're saying. Have you ever noticed a scene like this? Can be a little bit distracting. In fact, notice how I stopped talking for a while because I know that you can follow my speech and these slides if they are not saying the same thing. This happened quite a lot of time. And please try when you are doing a presentation to maintain your speech, your text, your images, your object, if you have it, coherent with one another and all serving the same key message that we talk about it. Okay. If you want.
I just use this slide because I think that is good to mention here that the idea of using images, objects, and other stuff, maybe you were mentioning, but I use the fact that we have these photos here is very helpful and good. So we just use of our volunteers that are using objects or big images to help what they are describing, and this is really good to improve the speech. Okay, so just it.
Also because
the photos.
People learn in different ways. So for some people can be more useful to see text or hear your speech. Some other may click more with images. So if you add like this various level at your communication, if they are coherent with one another, it's great. And better if you add more. Another tip is simply simplify the life of your audience and make your slides readable. Again, it seems obvious, but I just want to show these slides are true slides. You don't have to read everything, but these are the slides of presentation that the CERN researchers made for the discovery of the Higgs boson. Their official slides. Notice how tiring it is to read them for the color, for the amount of text that you have. You are straining your audience that have to do this math inside their head just to understanding what is written on it. So some general tips about it is cut the amount of text. The less text you have, the better. To choose high contrast between the background and the text. This is especially important for like dyslexic people, but is useful for everybody. Avoid crazy fonts. Like in the corner, you can see an example of font to avoid. It's very difficult to read. And prefer larger text dimension, larger than you think for the people in the back. So all of this is so that you provide the least amount of friction to your presentation. Another tip can be engage your audience with participation, interaction, can be activities, physical interaction even, ask them question, let them raise their hand. Even this is especially important for kids. For high schooler of adults, there is some psychological barrier that can be there, but even simple exercises stand up and sit down if you have experienced something. This also physical way of engaging people keep up the attention and create a bond with the public. So I suggest some easier maybe question at the beginning just to ease the creation of this bond, and then ask other question more technical and so on. And very important, once you create this bonding with the public, don't ruin everything. Be inclusive in your language. For example, ban the phrase "as everyone knows" from your talks. I personally hate hate this question. It's very common to say it. You don't think about it, but it creates a barrier between you and the listeners, because if I already know why I'm listening to you, there's no reason behind it. And if I don't know, I feel very inadequate. So these were like more practical tips that you can introduce. There are many, to be honest, but there is another component, because these tips are not enough. No matter how much you simplify your message, if you use the correct language, you engage them, you create beautiful and readable slides, there is something missing, and I will ask you a question. Seems a change of topic, but in your opinion, why do people talk about cholesterol? Like people, not doctors,
not in a science environment.
Not in a science environment, on the bus, at a dinner table, I don't know, with friends, family. If someone that is brave enough wants to try to say it, okay. If not, we can just answer yourself, and you don't have to do it verbally. Okay. People often talk about cholesterol simply because it's relevant to them. Cholesterol is a difficult topic, can be boring even, is a lot of scientific jargon that we said that we should limit, but it's relevant. People are not interested in this for like an abstract scientific point of view. They are interested at their own cholesterol, their health, how can improve their health, what risk they have associated with it. And when something is relevant, is important to them, so the relevance leads to motivation and then leads to attention. If you know your audience, remember what Marta was speaking about, understand your public. There is not one single public. Find what is relevant for your public, for what is important to them, and then choose something relevant and let that be your hook for listening to you, because relevance leads to motivation, motivation leads to attention, and let this guide your talk. So a quick recap, we talked about a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Marta, if you want
Yeah.
to...
I would summary these tips and things that we said in these points. So when you prepare a science communication talk, activity, or whatever, think about who you are talking to. So we said it too many times, you will think about this. Now our phrase that the general public doesn't exist, but it's good to repeat. Think about why someone should listen to you. So this thing that Elvira just explained about the relevance of the topic. So like, for example, for mathematics, sometimes it's not that easy, but finding the point that connects to the real life, the aspect that can be interesting for the public, then would give attention, motivation and attention to you. Think about what you want to communicate. So choose what is your message and focus on that. Make a selection on what you want to communicate. You cannot communicate everything. You choose. Choosing and selecting is a lot important in science communication, and choose in the same way the technical terms that you want to use and to avoid. And in the end, think about how you want to communicate. So about the visual elements, readability, you want to use some objects, and how you can do participation, dialogue, etc. So about this, I would like to share some practical examples, math related, but also I would like to, in general, mention some, let's say, more participatory approach that are nowadays used in science communication. But I start with the math examples so I don't get lost. So we put here some pictures of activities that we do with schools, we developed. So for example, there is the isoperimetric problem in the first picture that is made, let's say, understand and but experiment, I would say, not understand. Experiment to children by giving them a
piece of string.
Piece of string and some pasta. So the goal is to understand which is the shape that can collect more pasta, giving a fixed length of the string. And so they try triangle, circle, and they experiment this problem. So they get engaged in the question and we give the answer later. We don't say, okay, so the circle is the shape that satisfies this problem. I explain you and then you try. No, they first try, they experiment by themselves, and then we say, okay, this was the point. You discover it. Good, you're a good researcher. And say, so this is one example, but there are others I just mentioned. So I don't know. You are with time? We are good. Okay.
Yeah, just want to add that
yeah,
in this
yes.
case, the relevance for the kids were a story. We started with a story and a problem to solve, and then when they were hooked on the story and they have to help this character that we made up, then we make them do this activity and this experiment.
Yeah, thank you for adding, because of course we have to mention also the relevance. Yeah. And so other example, there is the random simulation of random walks with this the I'm missing the word in English. The bottle
cork
okay. You understood. Okay. And another activity was with the
gummy bears, gummy.
Exactly, for making understand what does it mean to have clusters and do classification of stuff related to more general activity that was on artificial intelligence. And another example is are between mathematics and computer science, because for example, I do a lot of in between activities. And another example is the last photo, when you see that is written in a very small character, but maybe you can see there are layers and node. So this was a human simulation of a neural network, where there were neurons that were talking to each other between one layer and another. With the 0 and 1 activation and not activations communicating between one layer. So just to have a more general talk about this, in a project that is the orientation project that we mentioned at the beginning. We had a focus on artificial intelligence, and in particular in neural networks, that are something very difficult to understand and to explain. So the idea had, okay, we prepare something where people could be in exactly a neural network by themselves, and they had the instruction on how to do. And well, I don't explain the activity, how it works, but the idea is that we simulated this with physical persons. So yeah, that's it. And I mentioned that I wanted to mention also other participating approach. So I do it before we close. For example, about this dialogue model idea. Nowadays, there are many projects of like citizen science. I don't know if you ever heard about this, but are a science project where citizens, common people, participate in a science project by like collecting data on different stuff. For example, can be something related to biodiversity project, where people can collect data on what they see in a precise environment. This is just an example, but these are kind of citizen projects activities that are quite used nowadays, but not that much, are starting to. Other activities, participatory activities, are like the discussion games. So these are more projects. Small activities are like discussion games, where we structure activities where people have to discuss and we just facilitate. So we don't give our opinion. We put on the table, let's say, a controversial issue in science, a controversial problem, like is it better to do like this or to do like this? It is hard to say. People have different opinion. Okay, we structure an activity where they can discuss and express their opinion. We just facilitate. Okay. This other example that came to my mind that we didn't mention. You want to add something more? Otherwise,
first, I want to make sure that we cover everything that is interesting for you. So I would ask you if you have any questions, and then later, if not, I can add something.
Okay. yeah, so yeah, that was everything for us. But please just add and ask.
Ma hai la mano... did you raise your hand, Maristella? No.
No, I just sent the clap
Ah,
clap.
okay,
Thank you.
Mm,
Yeah,
I
yeah, go.
maybe I have a curiosity because yeah, so I like very much the fact that you have to keep in mind that people in front of you are not empty boxes. They have some prior knowledge. But has it ever happened to you to meet people with very strong misinformation and very strong opinions like fake news and how I mean, are there some strategies to manage these cases that people that they think they know everything, but they don't really know how the scientific fact?
So from my point of view, but then I leave it though.
Yeah.
I'm quite lucky because I've never found myself doing some science communication project with someone that was saying no, like vaccines are doesn't work or stuff. So I didn't have to manage myself, fortunately. But something that I can say is that. The thing that we were saying at the beginning, giving more information and say, no, it's like this is not a good way, but instead trying to understand from where this information comes from and going into deep in what they are saying, not proposing something else, but understanding from where these come from, which are the let's say starting points would be a good approach. So from where this, why, but takes a long time and often if happens like in public events, it's not easy to manage because you have short time, there are many people. So in that cases, there is something to do with time.
Yeah,
If you want to-
it doesn't happen to us very often because we mostly work with
Yeah.
kids and school students, so it's not very frequent.
Exactly.
What it happens is that we have some people that do not agree with on a value level, not on a fact level. For example, in SISSA, there are many researchers that do animal testing, and this can be controversial. It is not a fact on whether climate change is true or not, and is how your set of value align with the knowledge that we have, and is perfectly reasonable to people to have different opinion on that. So you could calmly explain what are your reason to do it, but to me you should also accept that there are other way of seeing different set of values, and it's totally fine. It's not my goal to convince you on this. For the misinformation part, I would suggest to ask question and try to understand why do you think about it? Because as we said in the first part of the presentation, everything that we say is mixed and reinterpreted by the people according to their previous knowledge, their set of values, their political opinion, their emotion in that time. We have to keep this into account, and the better way to understand these other parts that is not the fact that you are talking about is asking question and try to see what's behind this. I don't think climate change is real, for example, or evolution is not real. I don't know. So start by asking question, and then like not keep the inclusive language and not fight against it, but approach them softly, try to understand, and try to get on also into an emotional approach, trying to explain your point of view and your reasoning. And in the end, you cannot convince people to agree with you. So you should also learn to accept that. I hope I answer your question.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. There is also a question in the chat. I will read it.
I don't.
Thank you, because we are not looking.
Yeah, thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
Can you read it for us?
No,
Sure.
here we go. Okay, yeah.
Are there websites or magazines that publish science for the public? How does someone go about writing a piece of for these outlets?
Okay, about how does go up the last question, I didn't understand it.
So I think this means how does someone start to write about science, to do
Yeah.
science communication? Yeah.
I had to, thank you, to think about resources in English. Usually for activities, I often pick at the website of Exploratorium. It's like the first science museum is in San Francisco. It's a very important and very big institution for activities. On tips about how to write.
I wouldn't say is that easy. For example, maybe we know some journals that publish science journalism articles here in Italy, but is something like where are people that have a background typically in science communication and they studied for this that write on the newspapers. So are the kind of outputs that we people find with the master. But so I don't know more in the middle. Places,
we can
but we can think.
look for it and come back to you from Maristella as a medium.
Exactly. Thank you, Maristella, for sharing.
Thank you. And I would add, if you are interested, that SISSA Medialab publish also JCOM, that is a Journal of Science Communication, but is more technical, is a peer communication between people that work in this field. You can go see it. It's an open source journal. More technical resources, I will come back to you and tell Maristella to share it.
Yeah, exactly. Because I also don't have something in mind.
Okay, I don't see any other questions. So I just want to add, maybe I don't know if I've been enough clear about the relevance part. This is very important to me because when you talk about cholesterol, it's quite easy to understand it. When you talk about math, other than calculate the discount on a piece of garment that you are buying, maybe can see not so close to the general day-to-day life of people, you can choose something relevant because it's a common experience to people, but also go with the wow effect, something that is interesting for an intrinsic sense of beauty. For example, astrophysics do this all the time. For example, black holes works very, very well. Or you can do it through a story that like the activity with the pasta. We can do it also stating something very unexpected and create a hook like in all your life you have been you were convinced to know this, and now I tell you that you don't, and rapidly change their perception on something. And there are various ways in which you can create something relevant to them, and maybe it's more important for the for a mathematician that does not talk about health. We did an activity with the mathematician that studied with the medical equipe simulation on heart. So. Okay. In any case, if you have any question in the next days, if you wake up this night thinking about a question, you can always write an email to me or Marta. We will send you these resources to how to write a scientific science communication article. And Maristella, tell me if you want, we can.
Yeah, I mean, if there are no other questions, I think we can really say big thank you to Marta and Elvira. I think they gave a very nice insight about science communication, what it is and what is not. Also, this is important. And yeah, then see you all in the next MCLS special.
Thank you. I hope you appreciated this.